The Tape Crew, a fanfiction, written by Nameri Wolf, inspired by Bunny's joke suggestion of what to put in an event or stream. Wink. Disclaimer: the characters are based on real people, but what the characters do may not be what that person would actually do. I am not a mind reader and can only guess at what people would do in specific circumstances. Send all complaints to Denis. I'm Matthew
That's
2
not
for
what I
7. I'm Matthew 2 for 7. Thank you. Sorry. Why me? I was trying to focus on this video game called Lethal Company. I moved my character effortlessly through the dark. Yaman and Emotiful had been chatting with me in a VC a moment ago, but had left to play a different game together. I consider myself fortunate to have established the Tape Crew community years ago, a place where people could meet and discover similar interests, play games together, and just enjoy being here. So many people from so many walks of life meeting each other and creating a family of sorts. I was proud to have been able to provide a place for everyone to form long-lasting friendships here. I wasn't too proud though. I reminded myself this was a group effort. When you think about it, I didn't really do anything other than push a button to create the group and then play video games where people could see me play them. Everyone else made it into a community. I chastised myself for letting myself feel pride. Jesus Christ. Okay. While trying to distract myself from those thoughts, my eyes flashed down to the donations this month. I shouldn't have done that. Alright, because now I was thinking about money. That just opens up a whole new line of thought I didn't want to think about. I know I was a streamer, and I was supposed to be all about making the money, but I really only started streaming as a way to do something fun and connect with people, while maybe making a few extra bucks on the side. Circumstances made it so that I was relying almost fully on my stream to support me, and it was difficult each month to make ends meet, but I tried not to think too hard about that when I was streaming. I never want to ask people for money, so I just played games with them, and if I got money, great. If not, well, that was on me. I just want everyone to have a good time playing video games or just chatting about their day with me. I love making people smile. Even thinking about it made me smile. I brushed a stray black curly lock of hair out of my face. My hair is so messy right now. I should have taken more time to take a shower. I realized my thoughts were trying to stray into how I looked, and I couldn't let that happen or I would completely lose my focus. I never cared for how I looked. A couple of my foreign online friends had called me exotic because of my Filipino heritage, but I just thought of myself as a pasty Filipino with both too much and not enough hair, along with the fashion sense of this was clean, so I wore it. I was almost thankful when, as I walked through a very dark, very creepy cave in the video game, I suddenly heard a very loud sound that made me jump nearly out of my chair. I screamed at the shock, which sent my audience sending lol through my chat, because that sound was from my longest supporters and friends, Dinny, sending a gift sub my way. I could hear my friend now laughing in the VC. Why does it scare you so much? You've heard it so many times. You know what it sounds like. I, still visibly shaken, answer him. I don't know, Dinny. It just does. I smiled as my body relaxed again. If jump scaring me made my friends happy, I'm okay with it. I really did jump scare easy though. Maybe I should get that looked into. I laughed a bit under my breath at that thought. The game continued for a bit, but it was nearing the end of my stream time, so I let everyone know it was time to end the stream. Sadly, some awes went around, but ultimately everyone had other things they were going to do anyway. So I thanked everyone for playing before saying, "This is Matthew 247, signing off. Bye." It was his signature way to sign off from the stream. I went about my after-stream routine, but it wasn't long before my DM started going off. Oh dear. Not with one person sending me a bunch of messages, but multiple people. 3, 5, no, 9 DMs, all within seconds of each other. What was going on? I clicked on the first DM from Dinny Dinny, which had a link. I clicked on the link. A news story popped up. I wondered if this was something funny, like the videos I enjoy sending my friends, a TikTok video, or a YouTube. My mouth dropped open. This can't be real, right? It was a live news story about an unidentified object over above the Philippines. It was huge! It would likely block out the sun in parts of the Philippines once the sun came up. It didn't have a lot of defining features. It was dark, and some parts jutted out in odd directions, perhaps having some purpose or perhaps just for looks. I typed back to Dinny Dinny, Is that a UFO? Dinny Dinny typed back, you tell me, it's over you. My whole body was startled by this info, which I really should have realized based on the news story. Yes, it had said it was over the Philippines, but the Philippines consist of multiple islands. Just because it was in the Philippines didn't mean it was right over me. Though now that he looked at it, it did bear a frighteningly similar feel to my part of the Philippines. Then the news reporter said Manila. I did the math and figured that it was still far enough away to not be a problem, right? I clicked on another DM. It was from Vincent. It was a different link about the same story from a different news station, but he wrote along with the link, should I be worried? I typed back, I'm fine. But he wrote, looking into what's going on now. I clicked on another DM. The Mayor Wolf said, Matt, this is on every news station everywhere. This is on the news, every news station everywhere. Makito just posted a link about it in general. Isn't this where you are? Are you okay? I figured every DM would be like this, so I tried to race through them all, reassuring messages so I could actually look into it. The last one was from Solar, who just wrote, look outside! I finally couldn't ignore the sinking feeling that had been growing inside the pit of my stomach, and I got up to look out my window. It was still dark out, but that wasn't necessarily unusual considering the time. I comforted myself with this thought. However, I didn't remember the sky looking like that before. I sat back down at my computer. Even more DMs were waiting for me now. I saw there were a bunch of people in VC. Someone had written, worried about Matt, Solar, and Sky for the VC status. I turned my earbuds back on and joined the VC. Matt! Matthew! Are you okay? The Russian voices meant I couldn't tell who was saying what. I said, I'm okay. Bunny said, yeah, for now. Mary Wolf, nearly talking over Bunny in her rush to speak, said, I can't believe this is happening. Also, Bunny! She said the last word sharply to jokingly chastise Bunny for the dark humor. Bunny giggled slightly. Vincent said, do we know what's happening though? Jago said, I think it's pretty obvious. There was an uncomfortable pause. Then Vincent asked, is no one gonna say it? Jago chuckled before saying, I'm not saying it's aliens, but... He dragged out the last word to make it funnier. A few people jumped in to finish the sentence. Aliens. I stayed quiet, hoping that everyone would laugh and relax. I didn't like it when my friends were worried or upset. I just wanted them to be happy. And I felt bad for making them worry. Like, Matt, stop feeling bad. Aliens hovering over your country isn't your fault. Namari Wolf's voice cut into his thoughts. I responded, get out of my head, Namari. Namari Wolf giggled a little. Why was she so good at that? Probably because I tell everyone way too much about me. Namari Wolf said, let's be logical about this, okay? Dinny, be logical about this for me, okay? Dinny said, what would you like me to say? But Namari Wolf said, you're a smart guy. Tell us what this could logically be, so that we don't all, freak out over illogical possibilities. You're smart. Take an educated guess on what that thing is and why it's hovering over some islands in the ocean. Dinny said, what do you think it is? Without skipping a beat, most of the people in VC said, aliens! Dinny sighed a little and answered, perhaps it's a new technology from some project in another country. The Mary Wolf was quick with, where were they hiding it? Dinny, equally quickly said, oh, there are a few places it could have been. He didn't provide the answer directly because he liked it when people tried to guess it. Drago said, like, space? Because in space there are aliens? Question mark? He laughed. Nameri Wolf also couldn't help but laugh with him. Vincent said thoughtfully, I guess. Well, maybe underneath the ocean? Dinny simply said, perhaps, without elaborating further. However, he did sound pleased with Vincent's answer. Or did he? He was hard to read sometimes. Drago said, or, hear me out now, aliens. A few more laughs. I thought I could keep it going, keep people laughing so they wouldn't worry. I said, well, you know, I've always wanted to be abducted by aliens. I posted a picture from the internet of some very good looking aliens using the tractor beam to bring up a person who looked very happy to be abducted. Once of the laughing, crying face popped up on the picture I posted as people laughed in VC. Someone made a joke about probes. Wolf feigned shock at the kind of talk, and they really tried to keep it light and funny, but they all couldn't keep it going for long. An unsettling silence settled over the VC. Nameri Wolf broke the silence by saying, I'm just watching the news right now. That's why I'm quiet. Murmurs of agreement went through the VC. I wish I could think of something to say, but my brain felt frozen as I flipped through the internet's reaction to this UFO appearing over my home. Makito, who no one had ever heard speak, so he typed all of his response out, typed in the chat, what did they want? Despite everyone thinking it, no one had an answer to give. Hours passed, but no one wanted to leave VC. I had to keep encouraging people to go and do other things that I'd be fine. Most naturally reluctantly leave, with Nameri Wolf promising to announce if circumstances changed. Nameri Wolf and Bunny remained. Bunny hadn't said anything in hours. Drago had only left a few minutes ago. This is because of me. They're worried because of me. And now they can't sleep. I've robbed them of sleep. Nameri Wolf said, don't feel bad. I chuckled. Nameri, stop worrying. I'm fine. Nothing has happened. A loud gush of wind hit my window and startled me. Luckily, I managed to not say anything out loud and worry anyone. Sometimes it was just windy in the Philippines. That's not unusual. I scolded myself for being so jumpy. Drago jumped back into the VC and said, hey, check it out, and started to live stream a news report. He explained that the quality was bad because there was a storm outside his house. Bunny said, me too. I said, why are you not asleep, Drago? You all should be sleeping. You were supposed to leave VC to self-care. Drago protested, hey, I left to go to the bathroom. I left to go eat. I totally left. Drago and I said it at the same time. And then you and I came back. Drago chuckled alongside my own chuckle. Bunny spoke up finally, showing that she was indeed still there. I would be awake at this time anyway, and Nameri couldn't sleep, so here I am. I teased, so you're not here for me at all then, huh? Bunny said immediately, nope. I faked a hurt voice. Wow, Bunny. Wow. That's the way it is, huh? Bunny said cheerily, yep. Nameri Wolf interrupted with, Matt, are you looking at this? Look at Drago's stream here in VC. I clicked on it and he entered VC, but wasn't really looking at it. I focused on it now. The quality was bad, like Drago had mentioned, but I couldn't see the same video and images that have been on every news station since the UFO had arrived, except this one was different in a slight but important way. There was a light coming from the UFO. A blue lit up a small section of the large UFO. The Filipino news crew was in very windy conditions, but they were doing their best to keep the camera steady so everyone could see the blue light on the UFO on their TVs or computers. Drago said, multiple news stations are playing this, but this news crew is the closest to... Drago's voice cut out. Somehow, the storm was letting him stream the news still though. Man, the storm must be bad where he was. Nameri Wolf said, yeah, it's storming where I am too. Thunder, lightning, rain, the works. But my connection seems to be okay right now. Didn't he join VC? Matt, you're ignoring me. My eyes flashed up to my DMs. Sure enough, I had missed a notification telling me that he messaged me. I apologize as I checked on it. It was a link to the same live news crew Drago was streaming in VC. I could hear rain start up outside to accompany the wind. I hope that another typhoon wasn't going to happen in the middle of all of this. I see it, Dinny. Drago is streaming it here too. Suddenly, the blue light moved. Everyone in the VC gasped. I could hear Namera Wolf typing quickly. Then a notification popped up for me. She had posted in general about the blue light on the UFO and its movement. She said people could join them in a VC to watch the news report on it live together. Namera Wolf said, I promised I'd let some people know if there were any changes. Namera Wolf could be heard typing some more. The blue light began to descend from the ship. It moved down to the ground. Tractor beam? Drago suddenly asked, having finally managed to get enough connection for us to hear him again. Bunny said quietly, Death ray. Namera Wolf gave a little frustrated sigh. Bunny's immediately said, oh, shutting up. Sometimes her dark humor could make the Merry Wolf worry instead of laugh. The blue light began to move about on the ground. Nobody said anything for a bit. It felt like everyone was holding their breath to see what the light would do or where it would go. The silence was very heavy. Okay, that's enough for silence. And I was trying to think of if maybe I shouldn't break the silence with a joke or something so it wouldn't feel like such an intense moment. The ding! Matt. The sudden sound of Vincent joining and saying his name made me jump and go, ah! Which made most of the people in VC jump. The Merry Wolf said, Matt! Oh my word, are you okay? Vincent echoed the same words differently and it sounded like he was very frightened to hear the answer. I quickly said, I'm fine. I just got scared when they joined VC. Dinny laughed. The Merry Wolf exasperated and said, Matt, you freaked me out! I thought something had happened. Vincent said quietly, me too! I apologized. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't mean to be like this. I really don't. It just startled me. I continued in my head. Stupid. Matt, you're not stupid. Stop. It's okay. It happens. Now, actually, it was Vincent this time. Vincent's voice had relaxed somewhat so as he had switched to reassuring me. Does everyone know what I'm thinking? To be fair, a lot of y'all read my head. That was a scary thought. I shook my head a bit to dislodge the thought. Vincent asked, so what is happening? Drago said, blue light appeared on the ship, then it descended down from the ship to the ground. You can still see like a cone or like a flashlight type of thing from the ship down to the blue light. So it's not like in the Drago struggled for a second with the word. Matthew always wanted to help him out, but sometimes didn't know where he was going with it. Vincent tried to finish the thought. Oh great, now I can't say it. Vincent and Drago sometimes had a bit of a stutter. Vincent managed independent? ? Drago continued. Independent. Thank you, Vincent. Independent from itself. The Merry Wolf repeated, so it's like a flashlight came down from the ship? Drago said, yeah, pretty much. Dinny said, searchlight. Drago asked, what? Dinny repeated, searchlight. Everyone else said at the same time, oh. There was an uncomfortable silence as we watched the blue light move across the ground on the news. Drago said what the others were thinking. Searching for what? The blue light searched across houses, trees, and even the news crew recording it. It was a tense moment for everyone to see that blue light directly pointed at the camera, but it barely stopped there at all before moving on. They saw it rest a moment on an Ascal before it continued. The Merry Wolf asked, Ascal? I confirmed. That's right. That's right. Very good. The Merry Wolf made a happy sound. Vincent and Drago both went, huh? I chuckled and said, Ascal is a stray dog in the Philippines. Nameri just checking to see if she remembered the word correctly. Vincent and Drago both went, oh. It got a little boring after that. Okay, a lot boring. Dinny shared his computer screen without warning. He asked, hey Matt, how does this look? Nameri, you might like this too. Nameri Wolf and I joined in to look, so of course everyone else did too. Dinny was in Minecraft and was showing his latest invention. Vincent asked, you're playing Minecraft? Dinny answered, yeah. Nameri Wolf said, while aliens are searching the Philippines where Matt, Solar, and Sky live? Dinny answered, yeah. They aren't searching anywhere near Matt's house right now. I could hear a frustrated sound from Nameri, so I quickly said, I mean, the man has a point. Nothing is actually happening right now, right? The Merry Wolf took in a deep breath and let it out before saying, yeah, you're right. So, what did you build, Dinny Dinny? Dinny Dinny went into explaining his invention, welcoming questions about it. I breathed a secret. Silent sigh of relief. Sometimes, the Merry Wolf could get rather emotional, and, well, Dinny Dinny was the opposite of that. It could cause some friction at times. Nameri had gotten a lot better at understanding Dinny Dinny's perspective with my help. She had attributed a lot of her friendship with Dinny Dinny to my help, actually. Too much. I knew that she worried that if anything happened to me, Dinny Dinny and her wouldn't still be friends. Maybe she's admonished myself for the thought and quickly told myself that, of course, they would still be friends. And I nodded to myself, as if driving the thought home. Drago suddenly yelled, "Whoa, guys!" His VC started cut out again. The Merry Wolf was quickest to jump back to the news crew watching the UFO and announce, "Guys, there's a bunch of blue lights now, look!" Everyone left Dinny Dinny's stream and VC to check on Drago's stream. The news crew was showing that the UFO had suddenly lit up with blue lights all pointed at the Philippines, all moving across it quicker than before. I couldn't believe how bright the blue lights were. It actually felt like it's shining right at him. I jumped and screamed, "Ah!" Everyone in VC reacted in their own way, but it was all said at once and didn't make a lot of sense. Overall, the concern for Matt was what came through. I answered quickly, "I'm okay. It's just that I can see the blue lights outside my window. It lit up my room and it went by and startled me." Vincent said something in his own language. The Mayor Wolf said, "I worried. Matt." Drago was listing things I could use as a weapon should the aliens try to beam him up, but I wasn't really listening to what he was listing. Vincent managed to remember to speak English in this group, as it was the only shared language we had, and asked Matthew to describe what was happening. Dinny Dinny said, "Matt, go live." I know, not knowing what to do, listen to the voice I've been listening to for years on my stream. I clicked my camera on. Everyone could see my face looking paler than usual. The blue lights had replaced the darkness that had been outside of my window since the UFO arrived. A blue light seemed to pass where I was. The light did indeed pass through my roof like it wasn't there. The blue light paused as it did on every living creature, but instead of quickly moving on, oh God, it stayed. My breathing quickened. The Merry Wolf said again in a worried tone, "Matt?" Suddenly, the blue lights shifted from outside to directly where Matthew was. Drago's VC had reconnected. "All the blue lights are right where Matt is!" It was true. I was still able to see Drago's shared news stream. I saw all the lights suddenly zero in on one spot, and curious how much light there was on me. I could only assume it was on me. Vincent cried out, "Matt!" I sounded like Vincent was afraid. It sounded like Vincent was afraid for me, but I wasn't too sure at that moment. Too busy with my own predicament. Namir Wolf's ragged gasp of breath confirmed that she had tears in her eyes. I said, "It's okay. I'm okay." Drago yelled, "Matt, grab a weapon!" 1 second. Okay. Vincent yelled, "No!" Matt wasn't sure if Vincent was yelling no to grab a weapon or was yelling no to me disappearing, but I didn't exactly have time to ask. Okay. Welp, if this is how I go, I guess this is how I go. I didn't really know what the thoughts I was supposed to have. Panic? I mean, yeah, I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I wasn't panicking. Anger? Nah, not even sure why aliens would be doing this. Can't be mad at them. Assuming it is aliens, that is. I really wish I hadn't disappeared like that with some of my friends right there, though. I knew they would be worried. I really wish that I could have spared them that frightening experience. I began to feel terrible. Man, the sound of Vincent and Mary Wolf's voice was so... Oh my God, 1 minute. Oh, sad and scared. They must have been so scared I did this. I'm a terrible person for making them feel like that. Jesus Christ, I have to read that right after the other. Who are you? The gender-neutral sounding voice made me jump and scream. "Ah!" And I looked around, but it was too dark. After the blue light had taken me from my room, everything was just black. I was just standing in a void. I tried to process what the voice had said. I asked, "Am I? What?" The voice answered, "Are you a terrible person?" Bro, you can't do this to me. Oh my God. My brain froze. I couldn't respond. Oh my God. This voice said, Perhaps we should just start the trial. Yes, I spoke in a squeaky voice. Trial? I cleared my throat and repeated it in a more manly voice than the squeaky one. Trial? The voice said, yes, Matthew, trial. You see, that's what this chat is all about. You've been selected to represent the human race in a trial you're all so called. That will decide if humans deserve their right to be Earth's shepherd. Oh, you're all gonna die. I squeaked out, shepherd? The voice said, yes, right now humans are Earth's shepherd or caretaker. Your species volunteered itself to be so. We have seen Earth's decline from afar, and we are concerned. Many species on this planet are relying on you to take care of them. Earth's decline might mean the end of thousands of species if she is not shepherded to a new direction. However, humans may not be up to the task. We originally came to help you, but now we see that you are the cause of Earth's decline. So now we must decide if perhaps Earth would be better shepherded by a different species. My brain was working very slowly, as it always does. I was very upset at it. Work faster, brain! Work faster! Understand what is being said, I said. So you're saying you're picking humans to ask questions to, so you can decide if we should continue being caretakers of Earth, or maybe someone else should do it. The voice said, no, we're not picking humans. We picked you. You will represent the human species in the trial. Oh my god, this is killing me. You will decide if your species oh Jesus Christ, why? Continues as shepherds, or if they should die. Oh my god! So a new shepherd may take your place. I, with a speed that made me dizzy, blurted out, that's a terrible idea! Surely there's someone else! Anyone else to represent the whole human race? The voice simply responded with, no. I continued talking rapidly. I'm not qualified to represent the entire human species. You have to get someone else. You have to. You don't know me, so you don't understand. But I'm telling you, this is the worst idea in the history of ideas. You can't use me as a representation of the human species. You just can't. I'm going to end the human race. The voice said, I guess we'll find out. Yes? Oh my god. I was startled. Before I could register the idea fully in my head, the voice responded with, yes, I'm telepathic. My eyes got huge, and my brain started thinking of all things I shouldn't think about when a telepath was around. The voice laughed. I've heard it all. You don't have to hide anything from me. In fact, during the trial, you won't be able to. I said, please. You have to pick someone else. I can't represent the human race. The voice said, you are the only one who can. I quickly asked, why though? The voice answered, because the selection process requires the person selected to have experienced various aspects of human existence that can better attribute what a human existence is like on an average as a whole. I rushed my words saying, that's not me though. I never leave my house. My friends make joke that I never touch grass. I haven't experienced enough life to qualify. The voice said somberly, you fit the parameters. You have been told why you are here. The trial may now begin. I said, I don't understand though, it's not fair! You should have multiple people here, not just one, so it's fair! The voice sounded ethereal and distant as it said, you have been chosen. Participate in the trials or doom your species. I heard a sound behind me. I whirled around screaming as I did so. There was an entire desert and saloon, like it was straight from a Western movie, behind me, where there wasn't one before. I turned around to see the dark space he had been in before, but it was gone. He was surrounded by desert and nothing else. Okay, the dust blew a bit around in the wind. The saloon had the classic saloon doors that swing open as you push on them to let one inside, but they had no top or bottom to them. On that door was writing. It glowed a bit, so even though the writing was small, it could be seen. Trial of the human race. I could barely breathe. What was I expected to do? I mean, it's a door, genius. Maybe open it. Okay, not now, brain. Stop putting me down so I can handle this. You realize they're telepathic, right? Oh no! They're probably listening on all my crazy. See? This is why I shouldn't even been picked! This is a terrible idea! Who's in charge of this whole thing? I heard a sound, but this time I could see where it was coming from. The door was quickly having new words scratched into it so quickly that Matthew barely had time to register what was happening. The new words read, "If you don't enter, the human race will be deemed unworthy as shepherds of earth." Oh, great. Now I can't even sit here to collect myself. I just have to go in right away. Well, maybe not right away. Technically, to give me a time limit. Scratching sounds. Yes, right away. I said out loud, "Oh, come on!" I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. There wasn't anything else I could do but walk in, so I did. I could hear a little squeak from the hinges that made me jump, so I pushed open the saloon doors. I didn't drink alcohol as a general rule, but I needed the saloon's shade from the desert sun. I'm already too stupid. I don't need alcohol to make me stupider. The voice in my head was relentless, but a comment like that barely even registered as an insult for me anymore. To me, it's just is what it is. The saloon was set up like a typical old western saloon. Bar over to the left, stools at the bar, some scattered tables and chairs in the middle. To the right, some stairs going up to some rooms, and a piano. Near the piano, a stage in the far back. The saloon door swung open and then shut as I entered. It was the only sound in the place. The saloon was empty. I said out loud, "Hello? Anyone here?" I listened, but there was no answer. I walked up to the bar. I could see lots of bottles that I assumed were alcohol. I couldn't actually read any of the labels. Well, the bottles still had labels. All of them had faded. I didn't see a sink anywhere. Is there even a sink? It looks like I've been transported into a time where there are no sinks. I could use some water right now, but I didn't want to drink from the mysterious bottles. Matthew said out loud to the empty room, "You know, if you want me to do something, you have to tell me what the something is. Otherwise, how am I supposed to do it?" No one answered him. I turned back to the bar, face to face with a piece of wood that hadn't been there before. I jumped back and screamed, "Ah!" I grabbed my chest as if I was going to have a heart attack. The piece of wood was a sign that now stood on the bar. It looked very similar to a wooden sign from Minecraft, though obviously more lifelike. I looked around, but there was still no one there. I realized the sign had words on it. I shuffled a little closer to the sign to read it carefully, looking every which way in case someone was lurking. On the sign it said, "Welcome to Matthew's."